Hey folks, it's Ben. It's starting to get cold outside if you haven't noticed, and if you look out my Quonset window, you might be able to see that fall is now upon us. It's time to start thinking about putting away our power equipment. Now, something I discovered not too long ago was 1 liter bottles, and why that's convenient is because if you're mixing gasoline with a product like Seafoam, which is a fuel preservative, technically there are instructions in the back that say how much you should put with how much fuel. Now, typically you could go how much you need for a gallon, put it in a smaller little fuel jug, mix it around, and that works great. But I have a friend at work, her name is Nicole. She keeps giving me these 1 liter bottles and for recycling, for deposit. But the cool thing about them is that they're perfectly clear and they're exactly 1 liter. So what I've been doing is writing on them, this is fuel, gas, and 2 times of Seafoam. And it makes a perfect, awesome container that you can then fill with mowers and things like that. Now, I always treat my gas with 1X, traditionally Seafoam, and just run it regularly in all my small equipment. But for my chainsaw, I do 30-1 mixed fuel and gas and Seafoam. So this is a 30-1 fuel with Seafoam. But what's really cool is making it. So here I've got 3 liters of gasoline, and I've got Seafoam here. Now, how do you get a precise measurement out of this container? Because there's actually no markings on the side. Is I actually use a veterinary needle right here. So this happens to be marked up to 6 milliliters. Now, Seafoam for maintenance doses is supposed to be 30 milliliters per 4 liters of fuel if you live in Canada. Okay, so, and I technically am located there now. So for 1 liter of fuel, if you do your math, you just divide 30 by 4 and you're talking about 7.5. So 7.5 milliliters is their maintenance dose for Seafoam. But since I'm being a little crazy and I'm storing my stuff, about half tank of fuel with this, I'll actually go to the 15 milliliters for 1 liter of fuel. That doubles the dose, doubles the awesomeness of the Seafoam, very similar to the gas that I have right here. But let me show you how I make it. So I'm going to grab this and the needle and throw this on a tripod. Alrighty, here we go. So we've got our first container of gas here, and this is gasoline. And boy, does gasoline contract and swell up when it gets warm or cold. But I'm going to take the lid off of this. It's approximately 1 liter. Technically, 1 liter's all the way to the top. But if we're putting 15 in and I put 2 6 milliliters, we're also not exactly talking a full boat here. So we take off the needle, and you can get these at most animal clinics, or not animal clinics, but farm stores, things like that. But I'm actually going to put it into the container, and if I bring my camera around, that'd be even more useful. Put it in, slowly pull it back, and that's going to bring in, hopefully, 6 milliliters. Okay, here we got 5 milliliters of Seafoam. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the top here. What I'm going to try to get, and I'm going to pop the camera off the tripod for this, is the actual kind of chemical dance, which is awesome when you put the Seafoam in. You can kind of see the you can actually see it is a chemical dancing around there. You might want to go to high quality if you're watching this on YouTube. But that's Seafoam in gasoline, so it's obviously, and it does tend to sink to the bottom. So heads up, when you do use Seafoam, shake it first, because it does, at least in this injection here, separate. So there's 5 milliliters. Let me go ahead and grab another set. It's awesome when my camera focuses. It's more fun for everyone, isn't it? Okay. Now, next time I'm going to get a bigger syringe. I don't need 6 milliliters. I was doing this for light oil injection and bicycle bearings, so I needed small ones. But since this whole mixing fuel idea came around, it's like, if I had 10 milliliters and a bigger needle, so it wouldn't be such a bear to do, that'd be great. So okay, so here we have the full 6 milliliters, and there we go. So this will be essentially almost a double dose of Seafoam. We're at probably 11 milliliters. We need to be 15, so actually I need to actually finish this up with one other dose. But instead of just splashing Seafoam in and kind of guesstimating what it is, now we've got an exact measurement of what are we putting in what into, what gasoline we've got here. So I'm going to make this a double dose again, so I'll have 2 liters because I've got that one that's over there. Once again, this is good to go. I'm going to pour it in there. And now my gasoline, this liter is really ready for me to put this into winter storage. So I'll run my equipment. Most of it's not very fueled right now, So I'll pour this into the tank. I like to start with half a tank of this mixture of fuel and keep everything flooded. And then come springtime, I'll put fresh fuel in with more Seafoam, and then we'll do our equipment startup. So this one here is ready to go, outside of putting a lid on it. So now we know it's sealed, and then I take my marker, of course, because if I just leave this, I'm going to completely forget. So I'm going to write gas, and I'm going to write plus 2x Seafoam. And that way I'll know exactly what's in this one, okay? But that's not really the cool stuff. Boom. Got another fuel here. I'm getting low on my 30-to-1 mixed gas. Now traditionally I would use the other one to do it, but instead I'm doing 30-to-1 for my chainsaw, and so 30-to-1 in 1 liter of fuel is 35 milliliters of the chemical here, and this happens to be just a Valvoline 2-cycle. Now this container, because this stuff's a little bit more liquid, or I should say more viscous, it's hard to do. So it does have a gauge on the side, and in milliliters it has, we're at about 200 right now. So in order to do 1 liter, I need about 30, and it goes by 100. So about a third of the line there will get me there. So I will pour in approximately a third, and what's really cool to watch this stuff mix again. And in fact, let me lower my camera here, get more of the bottle here. There we go. That's the nice shot. And I'm going to pour in about 30 milliliters of gasoline. And this stuff is really cool. And a little more. Of course, nice thing about 2-cycle equipment is it does like to be rather precise, but you can be kind of sloppy, is what I've found. And that puts us almost halfway down. So that's more than I needed, but that's good enough. Now, once again, what I'm going to do, though, is we have our 2-cycle oil, which is awesome, and you can see how it's, once again, separating. I'm going to take my Seafoam, of course, and for 1 liter of regular dosage, and this, the chainsaw is something I do typically use all year long. I don't need to put a storage dose in this thing. I need 7.5 for a liter of fuel. So here's my 6 from my injection needle. It is safe for 2-cycle engines, so good for me. But we'll put the 6 milliliters in here, and then I'll grab another half syringe, and then we'll have a perfect dose of maintenance dose of 2-cycle fuel at approximately 30-to-1, maybe a little bit, fatter than that, because I did put a little bit more oil in than I needed. But now I've got them a perfect mixed gas now, so now I have a 30-to-1 mixed gas for 2-cycle engines and Seafoam conditioning in it. So that'll keep the gas preserved, so if I actually don't get around to it, it'll be fine. Put the lid on it for sure. Take my marker, and once again it's 30-to-1 mixed with Seafoam. No, I've used these containers for about a month now, and they haven't leaked yet, so the plastic's not going to disintegrate, but it might over time. But yeah, this bottle's it's still lighter on top than it is on bottom. So seal the top. Boom. Now I know it's perfectly mixed and perfectly 1 liter of fuel. So that's how I mix fuel for this season. Wow, long video at almost 7 minutes long. But I'm a big supporter of Seafoam. It's been great for me. All my motors do fine in the spring, and you'll see them on the spring startup videos. But Seafoam's been great to me. This is just straight up gas. Warning about water bottles is this is not water, so make sure that there's some identification that this is just gas. Otherwise, oh, I'll take a swig. Now, I don't drink water from bottles like this, so it's not hard for me to do, but if you do, be careful right on them that you're telling them what they are. If you guys have any questions on mixed fuel, like I say, this stuff is great to go. This stuff seems a little bit more yellow than the fresh stuff. They're only about a month different, but I don't know why yet. We'll see. We'll have one of these stay around for a while, see if it gets yellower and yellower. Maybe it's yellowing the plastic, tough to say. Anyway, if you have any questions, just let me know. But my new method of actually making gas for my small engines and for chainsaws and stuff is putting them in liter bottles and writing on them what they are. Thanks and bye.